wrong with me? Becky, you started something. Okay, I have the honor of introducing our first person who's going to introduce our first recipient of the Hall of Fame this year. So at this time, I would like to please have Marty Fortin come up.
When I got here yesterday, a prompt showed up on my phone. Looks like you're in Kennewick. And I thought, well, this will be fun. I hardly ever answer those. And I said, yes, I'm at the Washington Activity Coordinators Conference. And I got back a message just today from Dr. Gay Selby, who's a retired professor from WSU. And she said, Marty, I'm a founding member of that organization. Glad to know the group is still active and doing well. And I can't wait to write to her on Monday and say, boy, is it doing well. The first conference I went to, this is my 39th conference, there were 70 people in the room. And now we look at who's here. And we have a Hall of Fame to honor those who have dedicated their life to student activity programs. I'm honored to introduce the person who's going to accept the award for Kay Anderson because I got to nominate her. And I met Kay almost 30 years ago, and I was impressed by what she did from the start. She's been with Leadership Camp, she's been on the board, and once she invited me to come to her student leadership workshop in Clarkston, and I thought, yeah, that'll be fun. It was probably 26 years ago, and I showed up, and the news station was there, and they were recording that student leadership workshop, and I thought, this is a really big deal. And I watched over the years, and she continued to do those things. If she wasn't doing it statewide, if she wasn't doing it for WACA, she was doing it locally. And I truly think that she deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and that's why I nominated her. She, when she heard she was going to be in the Hall of Fame, her husband said, well, that's really nice, but we have a trip planned. We're not changing that. So she recruited her niece, Angie Withers, to come up and accept on her behalf.
Hi, and if you know my aunt, she is very organized and well prepared, so she sent me with a speech for me to read to you. So I'm going to do my best to channel Annie Kay and present this to you all. Yes, the blood drive is happening Thursday. Oh, and don't forget to order the flowers for the Assembly Friday. What? You lost your voice? Let me look. I'm sure I have a second copy somewhere. Could somebody answer the phone? No, it's supposed to be red and black, not red and blue. Oh, here comes my class. I'm teaching them the MLA style for senior research papers. Does most of this sound familiar to you? Well, this was my life at Clarkston High School for about 26 years. Before that, I was just an English teacher. Oh, and I did coach softball and volleyball and was head timer at track meets. So I taught for a total of 36 years in the same school and have been told I probably bleed red and black are school colors. About 10 years into my teaching career, I had the chance to become the librarian and thought that not correcting 150 essays every week or so sounded pretty good. I went to the administration and said I'd like to drop the coaching jobs if they would let me work with the student leaders. The assistant principal, with a big grin, said, "What a great idea. We would love that," and immediately handed me the school constitution, ASB meeting minutes, the gavel, and went out the door whistling. At that point, I was on my own. We didn't have a leadership class or an activity director. Our assistant principal was the AD and activity director all rolled into one and couldn't keep up. I found a notice in my mailbox a few days later telling me about a conference at the Red Lion in Pasco called WACA or WACA or something like that. I immediately called and registered. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. I drove to Pasco myself, wondering if this conference was going to be like the English teachers' conferences I'd gone to. Hoping it wasn't, because English teaching conferences are boring. Thank goodness this was different. I was welcomed with open arms. Complete strangers became good friends for life, and I was like a sponge. I met Marty and Susan, and was in awe of their ability to mentor such a large group of people, from 25 years old up to 60 years old. They both have inspired me over the years, and I'd like to take this chance to publicly say thank you for everything. Well, I drove home from that first conference in Pasco and burst through the door telling my husband, I found my people. They're just like me. And side note, you guys are just like her. I love it. They're from schools from all over the state and do what I do. I found my people. Needless to say, I have been blessed to be a part of WACA ever since 1990. And WACA has given me the confidence to begin new projects, tweak old projects to make them better, partner with other schools for community projects, present at the conferences and be on the board more than once, be a counselor at a few state leadership camps, and when I couldn't get kids to the state leadership camps, I developed my own conference with surrounding schools to give them a leadership conference experience of their own. I could go on, but I think you get the idea. People like you have inspired me and helped me to have the best job in the world, working with kids, helping them become leaders in high school and successful leaders in their adult lives. WACA has impacted my life in such a positive way that this honor has more meaning to me than you could even imagine. I was thrilled beyond words when my colleagues told me at a surprise party that I was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Yep, I cried, I laughed, and had a few drinks to celebrate. I am humbled to receive this honor. Thank you.
Our next person that is going to come up and honor one of our Hall of Fame inductees is Carrie Bradley.
I'll give this to you at the end. I'll give this to you. Okay.
Is Jet watching? All right. Hi, Jet. Tonight I have the pleasure of honoring a great friend to many of us here, Becky Latham. I think Becky struggles to see how she's earned this honor, but those of us who have worked with her for years know absolutely why she's taking home some hardware this evening. In addition to being a great colleague, a mentor, and a collaborator, she has a long resume of working in student activities, from coaching during 3 different seasons in her Bethel Junior High days to facilitating middle-level regionals, being a past WACA board member, and a Camp Columbia teacher counselor. Becky is all about meaningful relationships. She has those conversations with people where you know you're being heard and you walk away with solutions and ideas and mutual respect. She has actively sought out working in schools that others might shy away from and connects with the students that don't get a connection with adults in their lives elsewhere. At Keithley Middle School, where they are nearly 100% free and reduced lunch, they are it's so high that they're considered 100% free and reduced lunch. She's built and modified programs to be intentional for the needs of the student body, including modifying their Winter Wishes program, where every single student in their school goes away with something. In some cases, it's just a school pride sweatshirt because they don't own anything to call their own in their school color. So now they have pride gear, all kinds of great stuff. She gets a lot of support from the community to support their Love Week, getting students to leadership camp each summer, and to attend the service conference. I can't tell you how many times an administrator has contacted me to say, how do I get in touch with that Becky Latham? I have a new advisor and I need them to talk to her. She graciously replies to all emails, collaborates through WACA and leadership camp, and loves to have a meaningful conversation in the hall at a conference or sometimes on a road trip. She thrives on good vibes, meaningful conversations, sweaty dancing, laughter, and coffee. Lots and lots of coffee. So some other people were excited to celebrate Becky as well, and they had this to say. Ryan Healy said, Becky is one of the most purpose-focused educators I've ever been around. She alters the lives of her students for the better through high levels of empathy and accountability. She loves the people she works with and is a tireless advocate on behalf of the schools and students she serves. She is the definition of a servant leader, and I hope to be like Becky when I grow up. And I think many of us do. Sally Rusk had to say, Becky Latham could not be more deserving of this award. She consistently shows up every day for her staff and students. She is a champion of all students, particularly kids that might need some extra support. As much as she's amazing at her school, I feel like I have to say how much I appreciate having her as a mentor and a friend. She will drop anything to give me an idea or brainstorm how to make something better at my school. This doesn't benefit her at all, but she's always willing to help because she knows the value of what we do and the impact that it can have on students. I'm so grateful for her and think of her as a role model, and not only in the leadership world, but also in life. As cheesy as it sounds, she makes me a better human. Why am I crying? So Patrick Kelly had this to say. Patrick went through the ranks of Camp Columbia. He started out as a delegate. He was an RC coordinator, and then a TC with us to this day. He's in his 20s now. As I reflected on the man I am today, it's great to identify what building blocks or inspiration has led to the person I've become. At an early age, I was blessed to have Becky as my leadership teacher when I was in 8th grade. During this time, Becky always kept me at a higher standard and pushed me to be a better person at a young age. She was my coach then and in a lot of ways today. I seek her for guidance and vision, but more importantly, she continues to keep me at a higher standard. I can't express in words what Becky has done for me and all the other individuals over the years. She provides me the standard of what's important in life, and that's to love and impact others. And Reggie McDuffie, who's also gone through the ranks of Camp Columbia, had this to say. Mrs. Latham is more than just a teacher. She is the definition of an inspiration. Growing up, I didn't have much. My dad left before I could remember. My mom kicked me out in junior high. I was couch surfing before I even knew what that meant. People took pity on me and would be fine with letting me slide by. Mrs. Latham was different. While not only caring for me, she also continued to push me to do better, not only for myself, but for those around me. I remember getting a progress report card from all my teachers. I had straight A's except for one class. Of course, this class was Mrs. Latham's leadership class. I asked her about this, and her simple answer was, I could do more. At first, I was angry, thinking I should have got that A. But she was right. I could have done more, and we can all do more. Mrs. Latham always pushed while being my #1 fan. She praised me for every accomplishment while always reminding me to keep on pressing forward and to be the best me I can be. I could have easily been a statistic if it wasn't for the strongest human I've ever met pushing me to do better. Thank you, Mrs. Latham, for not only inspiring me, but inspiring hundreds of other students. You will always be my #1 inspiration, BT1 forever. And last but not least, Becky has a 7-year-old son at home who couldn't be here tonight, but he had this to say about his mom. Mommy is really nice to all her students. She comes home tired and corrects lots of papers. She gives me lots of kisses and reads books with me. I love my mom. I know her family is very, very proud of her. They couldn't be here tonight, but they're very excited that we are celebrating their mom and daughter. And so please join me in congratulating WACA Hall of Famer Becky Latham.
Okay, so I haven't been known for being short or on task. Short talking, not short stature. Okay, that picture's super funny because it's like outside my video production teacher's portable last week. And I go, I feel like I'm squinting. He's like, no, you're fine. But, right, thank you, Carrie, for nominating me. And I appreciate you more than you know. The only thing I think that could make our friendship better is if we were somehow related, you know. Okay, yes, I'm old enough to get this, even though I don't feel like I deserve this. 1996 is when things started for me. I started teaching in 1996, and Mike McDonald, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame last year, was my mentor. I was hired the week before, the 4 days before school started. They had an increase in enrollment at Bethel Junior High, And my best friend called and said, I think you should apply, because I hadn't applied for any jobs because I didn't know what grade I wanted to teach. And so I called the school and I said, I think you should interview me because I heard you might need more teachers. And they're like, okay, what's your name? And then I had to get directions to the school. And so they hired me, and a couple weeks later, Mac was like, you're gonna supervise or chaperone a skating party to go with me, a 7th grade skating party, so they can all meet each other. And I said, okay, that sounds great. So there were only 2 of us and about 250 7th graders. And the 2 of us, again, because this is 1996, so the rules are much different now. So I rode a bus. He rode in his car because he's like, well, I have to get there right? See, this is how this works. You make the youngest person ride the bus, and then you meet them there. But anyway, that's like where it started. And, we talked about making a school where people want to come to school. Bethel Junior High was that. And so that was when I started. And then he said, you're also going to take over this program because I'm getting ready to retire. And I just have worked to live up to what he created, that school that we all wanted to be at, both the staff and the students. In 1999, I went to my first WACA conference because I was trying to just figure out what was going on as far as at Bethel Junior. And I remember going to Semiamu. There were like over 400 people there. Carrie points out that was her senior year of high school. But Pam Kinkilla was the president that year, and I just remember getting my picture taken with some kind of prop, and I walked in, and there was just a lot going on, and I was very overwhelmed. And if you don't know me, I am quite introverted. Talking to a lot of people is exhausting, and so if I single you out, it's because I think you look interesting, and that's what I can handle. And because, as Jet says, I come home tired all the time. But somebody invited me to sit at their table. It was a plated meal, and am I talking super loud? Okay. It was a plated meal, sit down, and so you are talking to the people at your table. And I came by myself. Oh, my mom drove me I was an adult, and I had a job, but my mom drove me because it was Semiamu, and I'm like, I don't even know where this is. So she drove me and dropped me off because I obviously didn't register in time, so I stayed in Linden. And that's close. It was felt like a long ways away. But anyway, so she dropped me off. My sister was going to Western. She's like, I'm just gonna go visit your sister. I was like, okay, bye, Mom. And then I act like I'm in charge of something. But so that was what my first experience at WACA. And then I didn't get to go again for a while because my principal was like, I don't think you should be gone for 3 days. And I just didn't question people that were older than me a lot when I was younger. So I said, okay, I'll just stay here then. 2002, Lana asked me a couple different times to be part of the Camp Columbia staff because I was in the advisor session. I said no twice, 2 years. I said no because I didn't think I was ready and could do it. And I don't know if you've seen this theme here, but I just was like, oh my gosh, I just feel like everybody that's doing it is doing it better than me. And I don't know if anybody else ever feels like that, but it's just like my motto. It's not totally my motto, but don't make it your motto. Because I'm going to tell you right now, whatever you're doing is probably amazing. So we are our own worst critics. But anyways, I finally said yes, and I am grateful for the foundation that Marty and Susan have created at CISPAS, the CISPAS magic that exists there for every camp staff and for every delegate, and it's an amazing program that we have in Washington, and it has been life-changing for me. And then I was talked into running for the board, and I thought I was running unopposed, so I was just sitting there at dinner, so fast forward a few years after that, and Carrie came up to me in the middle of dinner and goes, actually, there's 2 other people running. And I was just sitting there drinking wine or something, and I was like, okay, so. And the first 2 went up, and they had outlined notes and sounded awesome. And that thing came in again, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I grabbed the wine list off the table to make it look like I had notes. And I started talking about my 7th grade soccer team that hadn't won a game yet because they hadn't even shot a goal. They kicked it towards it but not on purpose one time. And I just panicked. But I knew I wanted to be part of this. I wanted to be part of this because it's the same thing. You feel like your people are here, right? You get here and you're like, oh my God, if we all taught anywhere near each other, it'd be amazing. But then I was on the board for 9 years, and I just feel like I'm on a trajectory of just awesome. Like things are just good things are happening because of the people in my life. But again, I struggle because, Kay and Dick and Mac and Susan and Lana, I'm at a weird point because I try not to be super self-deprecating. I like to be in charge. Don't get me wrong, I have a lot of ideas, a couple opinions, but I don't like to be in the spotlight. But I think that's okay. I will say that. I think it's fine to lead from the back. The common denominator in the people in my life that I've realized that have made me and got me where I am is that the people I surround myself with most closely have 4 things. That's humility, grace, love, and laughter. And those are the things that I need. Mac, my mentor at Bethel Junior High, long after he retired, he worked the high school basketball games, and I did the book for the Bethel High School girls for years. And he would work the score clock, but he's really hard of hearing. And so he would sit next to me, and he always had a bag of popcorn. And I would have to yell the foul, like the player and the number, into his ear multiple times while recording it in the book. And then by then, the game's going again, and he's just eating his popcorn. The game would be over. I would brush it off of his sweatshirt, and we would say, okay, I'll see you the next time, And he just embodied good, and he goes, I got a good idea, and it'll be fun, and like that's what I was first exposed to. And I hope you don't lose sight of the fun, right, while you are in it. When we're in this space, sometimes it's easy to forget. And my last interaction with Mac was at a game saying, brushing the popcorn off him. And, unfortunately, he passed in a car accident, but I have such good memories of him. My mom, nothing that I do is possible without her. So I live with her. So what I wish people knew is that sometimes you run across hard times and you become that person that a sitcom could be related to, and you move back in home at age 40 with your small child, and you just never thought you were going to be there. So it's a good, humbling experience. My mom didn't flinch. She has all the qualities that I don't have. She has patience, she has grace, and she has unconditional faith. And I waver on all of those some of the time. My son is largely who he is because of her influence, and she is the strongest woman that I know. And she has shown me different ways to lead. And that's what I appreciate about her guidance, is her leadership. My son is just a different story altogether. They talk about humility. Good grief. He said 2 and 3. Wait till 7, John. He goes, I think you should ask Siri because I don't like your idea. That was the other day about a leprechaun trap or something. And yeah. And finally, he's just like, what did he say the other day? He was like, I'm not saying that I disagree with you. I just have a different opinion. He's 7. I'm just like, God, I bless his teacher. Yeah. I came home with the award. That was me at the dance. I got awarded in the middle of the dance, so I was like, thanks, friends. And then I had to go back and clean up spilled soda. But I brought home the flowers and everything, and he's like, can I show you my Captain Underpants drawing? But anyways, and they were like, well, we got to run to Target, and we need to go get cheeseburgers, so we'll try to get home in time to see your speech. So I came after Target and McDonald's. But anyways, they made it home. Thanks, Mom. I'm almost done. If you can, find a good work husband. My work husband doesn't work with me anymore, but I still call on him. Michael and I bonded. We had student teachers the year the big earthquake hit. Was that 2000, 2001? The big earthquake hit, and we were in the staff lounge, and we were under tables across the room, and our eyes locked. And that's a shared experience, right? To make us who we are. And he's so funny that I don't think you realize how intentional, giving, and selfless he really is. He let me run my program. I was there for 16 years at Bethel Junior High, and and was my supporting cast. And I'm so glad that we don't work. I hate that we don't work together, but I'm so glad that we don't work together because you got your chance to shine. Because you are creating a program and you are changing lives the way that you always have been, but now I got out of the way. So thank you. But I want to thank my camp staff has helped me through some really hard times, and they're some of the dearest people that I know, and my life would be different. I understand the chance meetings, the amazing law of influence. The board, work doesn't feel like work on this board. I miss being on the board. I have felt its absence, and I just appreciate the time that goes into this. So what I would say is I'm in a good space right now. I'm in a good space. The district that I'm in, getting to work with the Washington High School crew and the Franklin Pierce crew, we're talking about collaboration, and we have the support at the district level to collaborate. There's so much power in that. Our kids benefit. When we work together, kids benefit. When we do things together and they're helping at my lock-in or I'm doing something at the high school, that's what we need. And I know that my students are not the easiest. I like them most days, if we're going to be totally honest. But they deserve the best version of me. And that's what I'm constantly working on. I am humbled and honored to receive this award because I feel like I have so much more to do. And so I just want to thank you for listening to me tell a couple things.
Our first two Hall of Fame inductees were nominated via our WACA board website by people probably sitting out here. But sometimes the board has the opportunity to recognize someone that really embodies the spirit of the Hall of Fame, that has the track record, that sometimes we just need to make sure that we take the time to recognize. So for that inductee, we would like to welcome up their inductor, Michelle Munson.
A legacy is simply what we leave behind for the people who follow. Some of us intentionally create our legacy through our actions that enrich the lives of the people around us and, quite simply, make us better. Tonight's WACA Legacy Hall of Fame recipient exemplifies this concept. 35 years ago, Dick Caldwell began creating his legacy through his teaching, coaching, and leadership at Marysville-Pilchuck and within the WESCO Conference. Former students have this to say about the man they simply call Caldwell. Caldwell is the kind of teacher that provides lessons that will serve me for the rest of my life, and his impact on students is far greater than 4 years of high school. He taught me that leadership isn't just about making posters or speeches. It's about integrity, compassion, and commitment to people, even when no one is watching. Caldwell helps me understand my strengths as a leader, taught me how to be a humble follower, encourages me to pursue my goals, and always provides me with a safe space and confidant as I was developing into an adult. Without his kind heart, compassionate, and patient personality, I would not be who I am today, and I am forever grateful for him. When I think of someone who is a committed and passionate leader myself, Dick, you are the first one who comes to mind, or one of many who comes to mind. I was lucky enough to be paired with Dick as a co-facilitator at Mount Rainier Leadership Camp nearly 15 years ago when I showed up as an intern. He greeted me, said, "Where did you park?" I said, "I don't know." And he said, "You got to go over there." I said, "Okay." And then Tammy said, "You're going to work with him." Okay. From the start, I was struck by how Dick never faltered in his belief that those kids could achieve hard things that were in front of them. It is a mysterious mix of optimism, delusion, and force of will that made those kids believe it too. And so they did. Dick, I'm humbled and honored to induct you into the WACA Hall of Fame. Your legacy will forever be felt by me and by so many others. Thank you for helping me become a better person. You are a pillar of strength for your family, your community, and so many of us in this room. You challenge us to be better people, encourage and celebrate our successes, inspire us to step outside of our comfort zone, and you are a total badass. I love you, and you are my hero. Congratulations on this award. You deserve it 1,000 times over.
Oh my gosh. Anybody that actually knows me knows that this is the scariest place for me to be right now. I'm humbled. Thank you. I just have a few thank yous. Number one, to the entire delegation, because you guys are the ones that teach us everything. I want to thank my Wesco Interhigh because they too, that's where the lessons are learned. We beg, borrow, and steal everything. And that's exactly how my career went. I learned everything here. And so I want to thank the WACA board because without this organization, I would have floundered. Like I said, though, it's for you guys. You guys are the ones that put on all the classes that I went to and I learned from. And last but not least, I want to thank my family. Because with them, I'm nothing. Thank you very much.